Hi, I'm Sean Gregory, and I'm here with U.S. women's national soccer team player Christen, who will be making her second Olympic appearance in Tokyo. Christen, welcome to TIME100 Talks.
Hi, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Christen, we want to start out talking about your national team's fight for gender equality and equal pay. You've worked hard behind the scenes. In March of 2019, before your team won another World Cup, the players sued their employer, U.S. Soccer, for gender discrimination. Chants of equal pay followed you during that championship run in France and throughout your victory tour afterwards. Where does the case stand right now?
Well, it has been a long journey and fight on this team towards equal pay, and a journey that actually started long before our lawsuit. The women of this team have always been advocating for themselves and for women everywhere. In that moment, we decided it was the right time for us to take the next step in fighting for women everywhere. And so it's an ongoing battle, and I can promise that this team will never stop fighting for gender equality and until every single woman is paid and treated equally.
That's great. And why is this battle, this fight, so important?
I think that in a lot of ways, as an athlete, we are given an opportunity to make change. And, it's a burden, but it's also an opportunity. And being on the national team, you have a huge platform and a huge opportunity to fight battles for people who don't have the reach or the finances or the popularity to do what we're doing. And so we try to take the opportunity that we have from our playing careers and make it mean more. That's something that's been passed down to us. The women before, as I said, they carried the torch as far as they can. And when I joined the national team, it was handed to me, and it culturally unspoken, but it is told to you, this is what we do. Being a female athlete, we all do it. But this team it's really powerful because we all get to do it together. And part of the work is then also teaching the next generation where we are in the battle and how to take it forward.
You used an interesting word. You said it's a burden at times. Why is it a burden, this fight?
It takes so much emotional and intellectual energy. And I think, like all movements, the people who are carrying the weight, they always say it, I'm a professional athlete. I should just be playing football. I should be purely focused right now on preparing for the Olympics. But we always have to have that duality, that ability to compartmentalize, to do our job and then to come home and then to do another job, which is to learn the law and to find great lawyers and to talk to our teammates. And it is a very high profile case. And people get to see us like on the world stage and giving speeches, but it takes a lot of quiet moments late at night, travel in, interviews, things like this to keep pushing the needle forward.
And the players are appealing a district court decision on equal pay from last May. A judge ruled that U.S. Soccer, quote, presented evidence that the women's national team was paid more on both a cumulative and an average per game basis than the men's national team. What is the counter argument to this and other reasons that the judge and U.S. Soccer give against your case?
Yeah, I think that's actually quite simple. We're looking for equal pay as a rate of pay. So you have to hold the number of games, the competition equal, and then you would have to be paid equally at that rate. And I think that's just like the obvious, clear way of looking at it. So that otherwise, if you look at it at absolute pay, it's all like this in a ton of industries. Women have to work twice as hard to earn the same. And that's the way that the judge viewed this case.
Got it. And as you said, it's going to be going forward during the Olympics and beyond. Looking at the domestic league in the U.S., the National Women's Soccer League will feature an LA expansion team next season that has an all-star majority female ownership led by actresses Natalie Portman, Uza Aduba, Jessica Chastain, and Eva Longoria, Serena Williams, and former U.S. soccer stars Mia Hamm, Abby Wambach, and Julie Foudy. How important is this representation to the women's game and to equality overall?
This is such an exciting development for us. I think the best way for our league to transform is to have more women in leadership roles. So I'm super excited to see how the LA team shapes up with a new type of leader and a different perspective. And I think it really changes the way a whole organization feels. All the other ownership groups are predominantly men, and they have all the control over, the business, but also the operations. And this is just a huge opportunity for women to have leadership role and to really be able to help push this league into something brilliant and sustainable.
Why is it potentially transformative?
I think as athletes, we have been looking at it from the perspective of, athletes being treated equally, but it's a lot more than that. It's about investment into the game. And it's about the lack of investment that's been in the game for so long. And so if you look right now at a men's league and a women's league and you say, oh, well, the men's bringing in so much more revenue, we'll look at all the investment that went into it to get there. And so now with women, starting teams, running teams, and women investing in women, you're going to start to see a new narrative where the investment comes in and the revenue comes back.
That's really interesting. And looking towards your second Olympics, how crucial is it for your team to become the first women's team to win the World Cup and Olympics back to back and to avenge the early exit from Rio in the quarterfinals in 2016?
It's hugely important. The way that our schedule works, we really build towards these two pivotal moments in a 4-year cycle. And that's the World Cup and the Olympics. And everything else is beautiful and fun, and we play and it's competitive. But as a U.S. women's national team player, this is it. This is it for us. And it's never been done before. Obviously, we won the World Cup in 2015, and we have a very sour taste in our mouth from exiting Rio when we did. And now we have an opportunity to do it back to back. And that would just be the dream.
A little different this time. In 19, you win the World Cup. The Olympics were supposed to be in 20, and there was obviously the pandemic gap. You're scoring like crazy, playing pretty well right now. How has the pandemic, do you think, maybe helped you and the team? Has there been some benefits to the rest, or would you rather have just kind of gone right in?
That's a hard question. I will say that it is extremely challenging to turn around from a World Cup in one summer to an Olympics in the following summer. It's extremely challenging. And if you win, it's even more challenging because of the post World Cup celebration and demand. And so the team, following 2019 was flying around the world, getting awards, doing a victory tour, rightfully celebrating. And, then you look up and you're 6 months away from your next world tournament. But at the same time, if I go back to March of 2020, the team was in a great place. I personally felt like I was in a really good place. And when I found out that the Olympics was going to be postponed, it was devastating. And we had no idea what that would look like. And a lot of us we were out of team environments for 6 or more months. And I haven't done that ever in my life. And so it took a lot of individual responsibility and accountability for me to get to training, to find a field, to kind of do it on my own so that when teams got back together, I would be ready.
And look, I know the Rio loss was personally tough for you as you missed a penalty kick in that game against Sweden. I'm sorry to bring it up, but there was a sweet moment that came out of that as fans started a Dogs for Christen hashtag and sent you pictures of dogs to console you. You're a noted dog lover. Are you hoping for something similar this time, but after a gold medal win?
That is an interesting thing to hope for. I think it was such an important moment in my career. And when I look back now, and I frequently get asked, oh, what are you most proud of? Actually, that was probably the hardest moment in my career. And it is the moment that I'm most proud of because it takes courage to step up and take a penalty. And it takes determination to get up after you've missed. And I was so inspired by the fans. They inspire me every day. They're the craziest and best group in the world. We always say it, but in that moment, I really did realize that there was so much more to the game than winning and losing. And, the point of what we're doing is to inspire. And yet it was everyone else who had inspired me and allowed me to have a lot of personal growth.
And how key are the Olympics for lifting female athletes and women in society worldwide?
I think the Olympics are huge for women. You're watching men and women play side by side, one after another, and getting equal coverage. And I think that's really special. I think in the United States, Americans, we love our Olympics. And it's beyond just watching the matches or the performances. It's the stories behind the athletes that really inspire. And I think we're already starting to see a great bunch of stories bubbling up around amazing Olympic women that are mothers and doing a lot of other things preparing for the games.
For sure. And these Olympics will be played during a pandemic in Tokyo. Public opposition to the Olympics in Japan is strong. What are your feelings about the Olympics going forward under these conditions?
I have deep empathy for the people of Japan. And I think this has been an incredibly sad and hard year for all of us. And it's been really hard to deal with everything and stay acutely and precisely focused on my job, which is to play and to prepare and to play in an Olympics. And that is a job that I am doing and have to continue to do. And so, when the Olympics goes forward, we will be there and we'll be there confidently.
Do you have any advice to share for the young up-and-coming female Olympic athletes?
Yeah, I think the best advice I've ever received is about perspective. I think in these heightened moments, it's really important to create a safe space for yourself, kind of away from the noise and the outside pressure and social media that is today, and really create a space that you feel safe and that you can be at your best. And I think a lot of that for me has been present moment awareness in a match, but also in preparation, in every action that I take. But it's even more important at a pinnacle moment like this in somebody's life.
Any predictions for how your team's going to do?
Oh, 100%. Always predict a gold medal.
All right, guarantee it? You want to guarantee it?
That is always what we strive for. And I think on the U.S. women's national team, we have such high expectations for ourselves that anything less is seen as a failure. In the Olympics, there are other medals, and it is beautiful always to participate and contribute to your country in whatever way you can. But the expectation for us is to go in and win, and that's what we'll give everything for.
Christen Press, thank you so much for joining Time 100 Talks, and good luck in Tokyo.
Thank you.